Hey everyone, welcome to Spawning Steve. This is a City of Canada Bay Library school holiday activity. I'm Alex from the Learning Space in Rhodes, and in this video we'll cover making a Minecraft figure, so like this guy over here, and making his legs move, so like this guy over here. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians on the land which we meet today, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Okay guys, so before we start we're going to look at how to navigate around Fusion 360. First things first, it's best if you use a 3-button mouse because Fusion 360 uses those 3 buttons for navigating. One of the most important ones is actually the middle button. So if you press and hold the middle button, you can pan around your screen. Very cool. If you roll your zoom button, so scroll along, you can zoom in and you can zoom out. Also very helpful. The other way you can navigate is also using this view cube. So you can go around the view cube and have a look at the different angles. Press one of these panels to go to a certain angle or press aside. So that can be very helpful. You've got the home button here. If you press that, it goes back to home. So yeah, some pretty cool things. And you can also press Shift and the middle button to pan around, well, to orbit around. So those are your main navigations. The other one that's really important to know is that this one up here is where all your different tools will be. At the moment, we're in the solid menu or the design menu. We're going to be going into the sketch menu soon, and that will look different. So you can actually look at the top here and see the difference in what it is. So if I just quickly jump into the sketch menu, you can see I've suddenly got a bunch of new buttons up the top here. It's very important to know the difference between these two menus, the sketch and the solid, because you'll be using them a lot and it's very easy to get them mixed up. And if you find yourself unable to edit something, you're probably in the wrong menu. So pay attention to what you can see up here. Okay, well, enough of that. Let's get started. Okay, everyone, so let's get into it. First things first, I'm going to grab the view cube over here and press front. I want to make sure that I'm making my Minecraft character on the front plane. Okay guys, so before we start, I'm going to click the line tool. I'm going to start my line over here. Can you see how it sort of sets itself on the middle thing here? I'm going to press it. And then I want my dude to be 12 centimeters high. So you might want to grab out a ruler and have a look. 12 centimeters high is pretty decent for this. So I'm going to type in 120. So that will make him 12 centimeters. And I'm going to press. And now the line wants to keep going, so I'm just going to press this little green arrow here to get out of that. Now I'm going to press escape because I don't want to make a line anymore. And that tool's not there anymore. I'm going to press this line and press X to turn it into a construction line. So you can see now it's a dotted line. That's what I want. Okay, so now I'm going to insert a picture that I'm going to use to model from. So this will act as a guide to show me how to model Minecraft Steve, get all the proportions right. The image I'm using will be in the Minecraft description below or on the Collaborate page. So I'm going to press Insert, Canvas. I'm going to insert from my computer and select Steve and press Open. Now I'm going to press this little orange box down here. I'm going to grab this blue box. You can see it acts as a handle. It lets me move it, or you can always use these. And I'm going to grab this little corner here and pull him up and make him bigger. So let's put Minecraft Steve down here, get him bigger. There we go, nearly there. Whoop. And just a little bit more. Okay, there he is. He's about 12 centimeters. I'm going to try and get him centered as much as possible. Yeah, so can you see how there's two little pixels in the middle of his face between his eyes? I'm going to use those as the dividing line, and that's going to be my halfway point. Okay, once he's in place, just press OK. And now this will be very useful for us for modeling. We're going to do one more though. We're going to press the right side. So you can see I was here before on the front, and just come over here and press right. I'm going to insert the canvas again and insert Steve again. I'm going to press this square this time. Now I've got another tiny version, so I'm going to get him up, scale it up. And I'm going to use this one, because that's the side that he's going to be facing forward like that. And once again, I'm using the pixels on his body to line him up. I'm going to put him down a bit. Before I press OK, I'm going to come over here and just check that he lines up with other Steve. Yep, those lines look like they're intersecting. And I'm going to press OK. This doesn't have to be super correct, but it's very helpful to have them line up almost the same. So that's Steve from the side, and that's Steve from the front. And nice enough, it doesn't interfere with each other. Okay, for our next step, I'm going to grab the 2-point rectangle tool here. So as you can see, it's just up here on the Create menu. I'm going to press that. I'm going to zoom in a bit, pan up, holding the middle button, and I am going to start here and pull out and just go over Steve's face. As you can see, it's a tiny bit off, but that is close enough for us. I'm going to zoom out a bit. I'm going to come over here. As you can see, when I move the rectangle tool close to the bottom of Steve's head, I'm getting this little dotted line. There you go, little dotted blue line. That line shows me that I'm lining up with the bottom of his head, so that's super useful when we want to make sure that his head is attached properly. So I'm going to zoom out and come down to here. Then I'm going to pan down, click here to start the next rectangle, and press down there. So if I press escape to get out of that tool, I now have an outline of Steve. Pretty simple, huh? Next, I'm going to grab the trim tool. I'm going to trim away these excess lines. So you can see I hover over them, and when I hover over them, they're red, so it's showing me what lines I'm going to trim. And I press on it, and it's gone. 1 and 2, because we had a few lines there. Now when I press on it, bam, I have Steve in all his fullness. Now I did accidentally get rid of the line between the head and the arms, and if we remember correctly from the side here, Steve's head is a bit fatter than the rest of his body. So I'm going to go back over here, zoom in a bit, grab my line tool. As you can see, when I move my line tool over here, it gives me a little X to show me that I'm on that line. So I'm going to press here and click here. So now we have a head and a body. Neat. I'm going to press Finish Sketch. And now to make him three-dimensional. So I'm going to grab my view cube and sort of give me this more 3D look, I'm going to press this button up here called Extrude. Now I can grab his head, and I'm going to pull his head out in two directions. So in direction I pick two sides. You can see now I've got two little arrows. Side number one, I'm going to press right so I can see how much is going to be and zoom in. Side number one, I pull him out, bam. Side number two, bam. So that was why we put the second one in. So I know how fat his head is, basically. The rest of this is all good. I press OK. Now, Fusion is trying to be helpful, and it's hidden the rest of the sketch. So now I can't extrude his body. So what I can do here is in this browser, this is the browser, come down here. As you can see, this is his head. It's new. Let's just label that head, shall we, so we don't forget. And now we've got our sketch again. So I'm going to turn the eyeball on my sketch so I can see him. I'm going to grab this part of the sketch and press extrude. So I'm going to press right again so I can see it, and I'm going to press two sides and pull him out this way and pull him out this way. That's vaguely looking like a Minecraft dude. Now Fusion 360 wants to join these two together. We're going to say new body. So we're going to have a head and we're going to have a body. And we're going to press OK. Now, if you wanted to just print out a static Minecraft dude, you could press join with that one. So if I go back here and press edit feature, so this is a good way of going back, I could actually press join and they would then become one body. And if that was, you wanted to make a static dude, maybe just like Finn over here, and you wanted to print him off, that would be a cool way of doing it. But if you want to continue on and try making somebody who can move, it's probably best if you make two new bodies. So I'm just going to come back here, edit feature, and press new body. So this thing down here is called the history bar, and it's very helpful having it there because that shows you what you've done so far. So you can see we've done a sketch, we've inserted two canvases, and we've extruded twice. And I've also come over here and turned off the sketch again. So now he's hidden. And I'm going to come over here and call this body, just so we don't lose it. I'm always losing my sketches. They're very frustrating. Now, let's get on to a bit of fun. We're going to decorate Steve. Now, if you have a custom Minecraft skin, now is the time to insert it as another canvas and put it over Steve. I'm just going to use Steve for this tutorial. But as you saw beforehand, you can do something like make a custom Finn or Zelda or any other video game you like, or if you've got one that you've just been using for Minecraft and you really like, now's the time to do it. First things first, I'm going to draw the head. So I'm going to grab the Create Sketch tool, and then can you see now how it's giving me a couple of options? I can either sketch on the head, sketch on the body, or sketch back on this plane. So I'm going to click here to sketch on the head. Now if I zoom around a bit, you can see, I might just quickly turn off the second canvas because we don't need that one anymore. You can see that the lines are actually on top of his head because that's where we're sketching. So, front, zoom in a bit, let's get some features. I'm going to grab the 2-point rectangle again. I'm going to start here. You can see Fusion is trying to be very helpful and helping me just snap onto him. So I'll snap here. It's the first bit of his hair. For the second bit, let's just draw these little bits that come down. Then we can zoom in a bit and draw his eyes. I don't know why this version of Steve has these weird lifeless eyes, but you can always put in some pupils if you'd like to. You can give him a bit of a side glance. There you go, now he's got pupils. It's a little bit less creepy. And let's put in his nose. Now, I've been told that this is actually a goatee. I always thought it was a mouth, but anyway. You can decide whether it's a goatee or a mouth, and either pull it in or put it out as you feel like it. I'll show you how to do that soon. So, we're going to come over to this trim tool again, up here in the modify menu, and we're just going to trim that. Bam, give him a bit of a haircut here. Don't trim this, this is the pupil, so leave it in, or if you don't have pupils, just leave him looking lifeless. Then press over here and trim, and press over here and trim. So whatever this shape is, it's now a full shape, and this shape is full too. So the reason I trim things, you can actually just finish, sketch, and extrude, but then you might end up with some of his hair in different angles and stuff like that. So you have the option if you'd like to. I'm going to press finish sketch, and now I have a handsome-ish looking fellow. I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to grab his hair and his nose and both his pupils, and I'm going to pull those all out by 1 mil. Now, I don't want these to be an operation U-body, I want these to be a join. I want it to join to his head, so it's part of his head. And I'm going to press OK. Well, that's an interesting look. So, once again, Fusion 360 has hidden the sketch from us, so let's just come back over here where it says Sketches and unhide it. We'll grab the Extrude button again, grab this one, and grab this one. Now, I'm treating this little thing like a mouth. Once again, if you want it to be a goatee, you can always pull it out, and it can be a goatee, but I'm going to push it in because I'm going to consider it a mouth. I think it looks better as a mouth. And I'm going to press, so I've pulled it in 1 mil and I'm cutting. I'm going to press OK. Let's hide the sketch, and bam. Let's just quickly hide the canvas. That's my Steve. He's looking pretty good. I think I made his nose a bit big, but anyway, his nose is big. Let's turn this back on. Oh, no, not Steve 1. Original Steve. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to press the sketch button, and I'm going to press his body this time. So as you can see, suddenly the lines aren't on his face, they're on his body. So that means that I'm sketching on his body. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool again, zoom in, grab his shoulder. Let's go all the way across so that his shirt is the same the whole way across. We are going to do the details soon, but for now we're just going to get the basic shape in. So let's do his pants too, and his shoes. So now we'll zoom in and do his collar. I'll just, bam. So that's his collar, and we'll come over here and do his sort of messy t-shirt off to the side here. Bam. And I'm going to grab the trim tool again, the modify menu, and click, and click. There's a few in there. 1, 2, there we go. We'll just do that. We don't want him to have a crop top. Click that, so he's got a full shirt. And then click there. Ta-da! Press escape to get out of that. And bam, we have a shirt, we have some pants, and we have some shoes. So I'm going to press finish sketch. I'm going to go into the extrude menu. So there we go, I'd already selected his shoes. I'm going to bring his shoes forward. What do you guys think? 3 mil? Yeah, I think 3 mil will be fine. Here we go, we know it's on join, that's just good. Press OK. Fusion's hidden the sketch again, so let's come back here, turn that sketch back on. Let's grab his t-shirt. Let's pull his t-shirt out. Should we do his t-shirt 3 mil? That might be a bit much. Let's do his t-shirt just 1 mil. Let's do 1.5. So his t-shirt's going to have a little bit more than his pants. Going to press OK. Now finally the pants. Pants are just going to come out 1 mil. I'm just going to type in 1 mil here. So you can use this little arrow or you can just type it in here. Now that's new body. I don't want new body. I'm going to say join and press OK. Okay. Well, look at that. Got a few extra fun lines there, but apart from that, we have him. Now it does look like it's joined up together again, which is fine. We'll split them up later, but for now, here you go. This is part 1. Now technically you could go and put his back on, but if you're going to do a print and place figurine, that's not a good idea. You can see I made that mistake with Finn and gave him his backpack. That's actually going to be a problem when you're printing him. So if you're going to just print off a guy like this and just have him printed on your desktop, that's cool. But if you want to make him move, his background has to be blank. This is so he can be printed straight on the print bed. So there we go. Our Minecraft dude is ready to start moving. Now, let's make him move. First things first, as you can see, he's one body. Turns out his head fused back on. These things happen. But we're going to start by splitting them up. So we're going to grab our view cube over here and we're going to turn to the back. So we've got a nice flat back to work on. I'm going to press create sketch and I'm going to sketch on his head because that's a thing protruding all the way back. So I'm going to pan down like this. Remember pressing your middle button and holding, and you can move things then. And I'm going to turn my sketch back on. Steve number 1. It's a bit weird having his head in the back, his eyes in the back of his head. And I'm going to draw some lines where we want him to split, basically. So first things first, line here, all the way down there. So that's arm number 1. Up, still going. Let's press that button there to finish that sketch. Line number 2, I'm going to press here, go down here, and I want to press this green tick again to finish that. Now his pants start up here, so that's where I want the legs to start. So I'm going to grab here and just come over here looking for that lovely X to tell me that I'm intersecting the line. There we go. That's so this is his torso now. Arm 1, arm 2. Now let's split up his pants so he's not just got one leg. And press the tick here. So now I've got leg 1 and leg 2. And now let's go over here and cut this up. So now he's got a separate head. When we finish, of course. I'm going to press escape to get out of that tool now. So we have a head, a torso, an arm, and 2 legs. Looking good. Okay, now I'm going to come over to this 2-point rectangle. I'm going to press here. I'm going to grab the top of his shoulder and come down. And I want this to be, so I want the gap between his body and his arm to be 1 millimeter. So I'm going to type 1. Now the width of the rectangle is 1 mil, and you can see here, Fusion's put a nice little lock next to it. I can technically still move up and down, so this break can go really long or really short. It can go on this side or this side, but now it has to be 1 mil. Oh, there you go, I've managed to knock it off. So I'm just going to go back here and press 1 mil. Now if you're on the wrong little text box, you can come over here and press tab, and tab will get you to jump between the two of them. Make sure you're on this top one over here and press 1 mil, so that the gap between the body and the arm will be 1 mil, and I'm just going to press down here. There we go. So that will be our gap. I'm going to come and do the exact same thing on the side here. So I'm going to press 1 mil, see my nice little lock, and press enter. Now if you accidentally pressed, say, 2 mil, or 23 mil, 2 mil, you're like, oh no, it's too big. You can come over here, double click, press 1 and enter. But can you see how this one only turned up for the one that I had the little lock on? If you want the number to appear for another one, press the line you want to see how long it is. Press D. That will show you the dimension of the line. And now if I come over here, I can actually type in, now that line's too big, make it 45, or make it 48 again. Now let's zoom in here and do the neck quickly. So tab, 1 mil, enter. Let's do the same for down here. I'm going to go tab, so I'm on to this one and press 1 mil. Press enter. Now, for the legs, I want them to be a mil apart. So I'm going to come down here to create. I'm going to press rectangle. Then I'm going to go for center point rectangle. Click OK. So this is a little bit different from the rectangle we used beforehand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my mouse slowly over these legs, looking for, this triangle, which means this is the midpoint of this leg line. So if I'm moving my mouse down, you can see, bam, midpoint. So look out for this triangle, you find that very useful. I'm going to press here, because that's the center. I'm going to pull it out, and whoa, I've got a rectangle, but instead of having to put 2 points down, I put one in the middle. So let's bring my rectangle up. I want it to be 1 mil. So at the moment it's 4, I'm going to just press 1. I can tab over here, but I think 54 is fine. I'm going to press enter. Now it's got these little construction lines to sort of show how it works. I'm just going to quickly delete those. I don't want them, so I'm going to tap on them and press delete. Okay, looking good. Now let's go and trim. Always good to trim things off so you've got the proper shape. So I'm going to trim here, trim again, trim again. Lots of lines there. Trim, trim, trim. There we go. That's just an extra black line that's just showing you where it ends. It's not actually there. So if I press escape, I can actually see that's not part of the shape. As long as I got this nice blue face, we're good. Press off that, zoom out, come down here, zoom in, grab the trim tool, trim, gonna trim here, trim here, trim here, trim here, trim here. Press escape. Now, as you can see, this is the shape that we're going to be cutting out. Looks like a bit of a harness. Now, I could delete this line in the middle, but I'm going to use it later. So instead I'm going to press X, which just makes it a construction line. So it's out of the way, not going to interfere with anything. So let's press Finish Sketch. We'll grab our shape, press Extrude, and we're going to pull this over here And can you see how it's cutting? Let's have a look at the front. Yep, we're looking good. Looking good. Let's press OK. Turn off that. Have a look at the front. Bam! This is our dude. Our dude is ready to go. So we've got 2 legs. We'll get him moving. 2 arms, a torso, and a head. Pretty good looking. Let's start making those legs move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this history bar and I'm going to right click the sketch that we just came from. Now you'll see it's going to sort of give you a bit of a preview of the sketch so you know what you're doing. I'm going to right click and press edit sketch. So suddenly Steve is back together again. So let's move back to the back. So now we're going to make some shapes that are going to allow us to get Steve moving. Okay, so to start with, let's go to create. Let's go to rectangle menu again and let's go to center point rectangle. Well, center rectangle. Press on that. Come over here and move it around until you see that triangle. That's how we know we're in the center. And we're going to make this tab 14 deep and tab 5mm wide. I'm going to press enter. Can you see how I use the bottom line? So make sure when you're putting it down, you're using the bottom line for that middle part, because otherwise the middle of this line is going to be here. We want the middle of this bottom line here. Okay, we have this weird thing here. Next up, I'm going to press the offset tool and I'm going to press my rectangle. So you can see here, it's created an offset for it. I can make this as big or as small as I like. What we're going to be doing is that offset is going to be 1 mil. So I'm going to do minus 1 mil because it's coming out. So make sure you've got that minus there and have that red one just around the outside. And I'm going to press OK. Pretty funky shape, huh? But all will be revealed soon. If you look at this, whoop, the shape we're making is this shape here. So we're going to go up and we're going to have this little spot here and then we're going to have a pole during here that will hold it all together. So coming back to here, I'm just going to press on these and press delete because I don't need these lines. We're going to make that shape we just saw. So I'm going to come here and press trim. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and trim this one, trim that one, trim this one, trim that one. I'm going to trim all these things down here because they aren't going to be needed. I'm going to trim this. And again, I'm going to trim this. So suddenly we have, well, let's press escape so I don't actually trim something. Suddenly we have this shape. It's kind of an interesting shape, isn't it? Now, well, I'm going to press off that. I'm going to press the mirror tool because we want to do this the same side and let's not bother repeating ourselves, shall we? Let's grab that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So these are my objects. You can see here it says objects. I want to mirror, and my mirror line is going to be this line down the bottom. That's why I kept it. So bam, you can see it gives me a nice little black outline to show me what I'm doing. Pretty cool. Okay. And you're going to have to go back here and then trim off the bits that aren't supposed to be there. And just trim that last line there. Press escape. Haha! Suddenly our shape looks like this instead of just straight through. Nice and cool. And the coolest thing is when I press finish sketch, ta-da! Suddenly they're already cut out, which was the reason I wanted to use the original sketch in the first place. Saves us a bit of time doing extra extrusions, huh? Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's come around and have a look at Steve. You can see I got a little bit of his t-shirt on here, but don't worry, that's going to come out. So if I zoom out, bam, there's Steve giving us the shifty eyes as we continue on. So let's zoom back in again. I'm going to come to the modify menu, press this thing called fillet. So this fillet makes all those sharp lines look nice and smooth. And I'm going to press here and here, and then come around the edge here and press this one and this one. So the reason we're doing this, apart from the fact that it looks cool when you do it, is that this will reduce friction so that when his legs are moving up and it hits this thing, it's going to be much nicer. It's not going to sort of snap in place. I'm going to grab this and move them down. Whoop. So you probably want to have a look to see on both sides how it's looking. And I'm going to move this, let's say 3.5 mil. You might want to have a look at yours and see what it looks like, but you want to sort of get this shape. Press OK. So that's looking good. Next up, let's just fillet some of these other sharp corners. So this is just a quick little fillet to make everything nice and smooth. And then don't forget to do it on the other side. So grab your view cube, swing around. Sort of feels like we're filleting Steve's underwear at this rate, but anyway. And let's just make that a nice, oh, we've run into a problem. Doesn't want to fillet that edge. Okay, if that happens, let's just fillet them separately. So let's go 1, 2, 3, and do the others on the other side. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Let's not do this too much. Just a little soft fillet. Okay. Come on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just double check this will. Yep. I think his t-shirt's getting in the way of the fillet. Sometimes you just got to repeat things with 3D printing, 3D modeling. It just wants to work, doesn't want to work. Okay, that's happy. Probably because of this angle. That's okay. We don't need to fillet that bottom bit at the moment, but I may just fillet on the back here. I'm gonna grab this one, and this one. Give it a nice fillet. He might end up being a little bit more flexible on the way back then. Okay, there we go. His legs are in place. Now, we're going to put a pin. I'm going to put a hole and a pin through him. So first things first. Oh, so everything's separated now and everything's got generic names. So let's grab this one. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to rename it Torso, just to keep track of things. Okay, so when I press on it here in the browser, it will highlight the part I'm looking at. So I'm going to double click this and rename the whole thing Head. I'm going to click on this one, and if I look from the front view, I'm going to name that Left Leg. Or it could also be Leg 1 if you wanted to. I'm going to rename that Right Arm. Right Leg. And Right Arm. Oh, just double click. This just makes it easier to, whoop, no left arm, whoops, left arm. This will just make it easier to keep track of things. So for the time being, let's hide the arms because they're not going to be necessary for this. And we're actually going to start by hiding the torso. Whoop. Whoa, what a look there, Steve. So let's press Create Sketch and press on. So we're going to press on this plane here of the leg pin. And let's zoom in. Now we're going to do something called Include Geometry. So if I go on the Create menu, come here so it says Project/Include, I'm going to include 3D geometry. And I'm going to press this line up here. Basically, I just want to know where the middle point of this line is. And I'm going to press Escape, grab my line tool, move my line across this line until I see, there we go, that triangle. And then I'm going to move it straight down. So you can see here, for those of you who remember your right angles, there's a little box up there showing me that it's a right angle, so it's going straight down. And I'm just going to go straight down there and press the little tick. It's also give me that. So I'm going to press X to make that a construction line. Okay, so I'm going to grab my center point circle. I'm going to move just along this line until I see my triangle again. There it is. And I'm going to bring this out. And I want this to be 6 mils is a little bit big. Let's go 5. Enter. So there we go, it's showing me this is a 5 mil circle. Next, I'm going to grab my offset tool, grab this circle, and bring him in. So now, this is where you have to be thinking about your tolerance of your 3D printer that you're using. Most 3D printers can handle 0.3 millimeters between parts where they don't fuse them together. It's a bit about accuracy and stuff like that. So if you've got somebody at home which is going to do the 3D printing for you, you might want to ask them, what's the tolerance for my 3D printer? If you haven't and you're going to bring it into a public library or something, you might want to be a little bit more on the, give it a little bit more than you would. So you might want to say 0.4. But 0.3 works for most printers. So I'm going to use 0.3. I'm going to press Enter. So technically that gap is going to be just left open and the printer is not going to fuse them together. So that's sort of part of the magic of print in place stuff. I'm going to press Finish Sketch now. So I'm going to select both of these. First I'm going to press Extrude, press both of them, and I am going to zoom out a bit and we're going to cut. So look at that. There's going to be a big hole through the legs. I'm going to press OK. Once again, Fusion, thank you, hiding my sketch from me. I'm going to press Extrude, grab this guy here. I'm going to move him through. I'm going to make, say, 2 sides. I'm going to grab him here. So now we have a hole and we have a pin going through that hole, a little rod going through that hole. I'm now going to turn on my torso again. And suddenly it thinks it's going to cut the torso. Say, no, don't cut the torso. Instead of cut, we're going to press Join. And you can see here he's got little bits sticking out now. We don't want that either. So I'm going to come in here and pull him just back a bit. Bam, hidden. And come over here, pull him back a bit. Bam, hidden again. And I'm going to press OK. So now, a little rod holding my little Minecraft legs. So far, what you've got is if you printed off his torso and his little legs, that would be a print in place guy that you could pull off the 3D printer and just move his legs a bit, and they would just stay in place. Printed in place for all time. Well, that's it for part 1. We'll be moving on to part 2 next week, so please join us then. And if you are interested, there is some more 3D printing activities from Canada Bay libraries all over our Collaborate page for school holidays. So check them out, and there's also some Minecraft activities there too. So check that all out, and see you guys next week.